Hello, hello. It's been officially 1 year since I've become Lunaria Altair. I've talked about wanting to do this kind of video since I debuted, so I figured, and now that it's been a whole year, better late than never, let's finally talk about the making of my VTuber. I like the concept of VTubing a lot because I thought it'd be a really fun way to combine my interest in both art and then streaming and gaming. And I know I mentioned it a few times on stream already, but Lunaria wasn't actually the first model I made for myself. I designed a few before I finally ended up on Lunaria, but for today I'm just gonna focus on her. But if you are curious about some of my older designs, let me know. Maybe I can show them off in a stream someday. But for now, let's get into Lunaria. So before designing my VTuber, I picked out some themes and traits that I knew I wanted to design around. I had a character that I was already using for posting art online in the past, but it felt a bit boring to use straight as a VTuber for me, so I took that character and then iterated on it with some more specific theming in mind. So I had 3 core concepts that I wanted to follow: androgynous, royalty, and cosmic. So for androgynous, I love ambiguity, I love androgynous characters, I love prince-like female characters, so I thought, why not take that, become one? For royalty, expanding on my love of prince-like characters, I also just honestly really like the look of formal clothing. I read a lot of like villainous manga and webtoons, and the way those characters dress, I'm like, I want that vibe for myself. For cosmic, I just really like space-themed things. Anything with like stars and moons, I'm like, automatically looks cute to me. My favorite Pokemon is Umbreon, which probably says enough. Anything like night-themed, I'm super into. So that was like, for sure, I wanted to add that in. So then I took all of these traits, and at first I made a normal human character, which I thought fit everything pretty well. And I even finished the model for that design, but then I was sitting and looking at it. I was like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if I had a catgirl model? So then I doodled something really quick, and I was like, oh, that's fun. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, wait, I kind of like that a bit too much. And I know catgirl is such an overdone concept, but I don't care because I like it. I was playing a ton of Final Fantasy XIV at the time, and my character was a catgirl, so I was a little bit obsessed with catgirls. And like, as long as I'm happy, I don't care. So I took that VTuber design that I just finished a model for and decided to scrap it just so I could start a whole new model from scratch, which became the design for Lunaria. Since I already had a core theme I liked, I decided to stick with it anyway. Androgynous, prince-like, and cosmic. So now it's just a matter of designing around the concept of being a cat. I totally could have just slapped cat ears on my previous model and called it a day. Well, I think I was itching to redesign the clothes, honestly. I put together a super quick reference board and started working away. When it comes to fashion, I'll honestly save a photo of like anything I come across online, because I'm like, you never know when this might be useful in some future art. So I had some of these on hand already. Sorry if this is bad as an artist, but I don't have the source of where I got these from. A lot of these are just reposted on Twitter without credit, and then I just save the image. Some are from video games. If I like an outfit, I might take a screenshot or two. For Lunaria, I used some stuff from Life Makeover and Final Fantasy XIV. Here's my quick breakdown. Lunaria was inspired by big cats, like snow leopards, panthers. So I went with those. From that, she got sharper eyes and claws. For androgynous, I wanted to keep her look fairly gender neutral, which I think worked out. A lot of people sometimes confuse me for male, but very female. But I don't mind, because I think that just means I hit my concept really good. For clothing, I wanted it to be a little bit more formal and more decorated to work as like a prince-like character. For space, I have like starry eyes, I have my cape, which is like, you can see the stars behind it, and then a lot of accessories to really bring in the cosmic theme. So after some quick sketching, I ended up with this. Pretty happy with how it was coming along, but I think it was time I go deeper. So I started refining the details a bit more, tested different hairstyles. I haven't tried white hair. Since I really like snow leopards, I really tried to make the white work, but I just didn't like how it looked on any of the outfits. Couldn't really find a way to make it work with her. I played with the eyes quite a bit. I thought about having different colored eyes, like cats do, but then I feel like it just didn't mesh with the overall vibe I was going for. And there was so many color tests. Did many different color tests. I already knew I wanted like black, blue, silver as my main colors. It was just a matter of like where I wanted to place everything. Gold for the accessories, I was pretty certain on. Even though I think I did try different colors at one point. I even tried swapping out blue for purple at one point, because I thought it might give more of a royal vibe, but then I just found the blue works nicer overall and ties back into my older designs, which I liked. Eventually, I settled on the design I have now. Not super complex, but not super simple. You might notice Lunaria has a fairly symmetrical design as well. I think most people go for a bit of asymmetry in their designs because it tends to look more visually interesting. And although I played with the idea, I left Lunaria like this in the end. I don't know how to explain my choice, other than I just felt like it kind of worked with her. I felt like the symmetry just kind of matched the proper vibe. Now to be clear, this is not my first time rigging. As I mentioned, I've rigged a couple models in the past, even if I never ended up using them. But since this really isn't my strong suit, I'll go through this kind of quickly. Basically, once the art is done, or I guess while you're drawing, everything, and I mean everything, needs to be drawn as a separate layer. This is so each part can move independently of one another. It sounds like a lot of work, it is. It took so long. You have to draw extra parts that you don't even really see, just because if you turn a certain way, you might see more or less of like one thing. So it's a lot to think about when you're drawing for a VTuber model. And this was my first time trying to make a model this complex. So a lot of my time was spent going between Live 2D, the rigging program, and Clip Studio Paint, program I used to draw. And I had to spend a lot more time drawing more things, adding more things, separating more things, because I didn't realize how many things needed to be separated. That's why Lunaria 1.0 has some issues, because a lot of it I was learning things still as I was going. With all the back and forth, it gets kind of overwhelming, confusing. But you know, in the end, I'm still proud of how my 1.0 model came out, considering I did all the work myself. I don't have too much to say on like the actual rigging process, other than YouTube tutorials seriously saved my life. Everything I learned on Live 2D was from YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. If you look up tutorials, you'll probably find all the same ones I used. I don't have any specific one person. I was using everything I could. So once I had my model done, I realized I needed some visuals before I started streaming. I really did think about buying like a pre-made overlay pack, and nothing against them. But I went through all the effort of learning to draw my own model and rig to save money. So I was like, if I could do all that, I think I could probably make a background too. I may as well commit to learning everything I could. And graphic design, really not my thing. So I don't have much to say again, honestly. For my backgrounds, I made some simple sky gradients with stars, trying to keep on theme with like the space stuff. Felt like a little bit empty, so I drew some clouds on to go on top. And the moon adds a little bit more visual interest. You can also see the first iteration of my chat overlay in some of these screenshots. For chat, I realized it'd actually be super easy for me to make my own overlay, since it was just CSS. I have a background with like a little bit of HTML and CSS knowledge. And once I tested out some stuff, I went and drew up some super quick sketches of what messages could look like. I tried to keep the sparkly star theming. And since my backgrounds are super simple, I kept my chat relatively simple to match them. I don't have any screenshots, but I did try using gradients and like borders and stuff, but I found that it stood out too much against like my other assets. So I decided just simple blocks of colors, good enough. My logo, not really worth talking about, but I put it together in like 10 minutes. No idea why some of these letters were joined. Thought it looked cool. Changed it for my 2.0, still super basic, but it exists. My starting soon and ending screens are just animations I used with what I learned with the rigging in Live 2D. Just animated, drew stuff on separate layers again, threw it in Live 2D, made a video with it, saved it, whatever. And then I reused my stream background that I'd made as background for them. And my last asset that I never used, because I'm terrible at keeping a schedule. I made a schedule because I thought all the cool VTubers have like schedules, graphics, and I never used it. And then just the other day, while procrastinating on making this video, I remade my schedule graphic to be a fun little square one because I thought it might be a nice size to fit on social media. I think it's a bit of an upgrade, maybe a little bit hard to read, I don't know, we'll see. I'll test it out. But honestly, I just had to draw a little bit, and I was able to make a bunch of assets by reusing the same art over and over in different ways, which was really nice. Very modular. I wasn't actually planning to have a 2.0 so soon. I just thought it'd be fun to design a new outfit sometime this year. But what I didn't realize was that my 1.0 was so badly put together, it was impossible to add clothing without having to recut the art and redo the rigging. So I figured if I was already gonna have to redo that much, I may as well go all the way and redraw her. It had already been like over a year at this point since I drew my 1.0 model, and I like to think that my art improved a little bit. I've been drawing so much again thanks to streaming, Shout out to my art streams if you ever want to see me draw live. But surprisingly, I actually did have a little bit of a hard time redrawing Lunaria for 2.0. I knew I wanted to experiment with the art a little bit more, trying to make her a little bit more anime, but I was worried about losing the charm of the original design. It's a little bit embarrassing to show this, but this was the first rough sketch of Lunaria 2.0. And let's just say I clearly didn't move forward with it. Just felt way too cutesy and feminine, which is just not what my core character concept was. I took a little time after that sketch, looked up a bunch of anime art that I liked, tried to understand what I liked, what I don't, and went into a new sketch now that I had some references. This is why references are important, because this looks significantly better than my first try, and it felt a lot closer to what my older model was about. So again, I took the sketch, iterated on it, changing small things here and there, shorter arms, longer cape. Face got a lot of tweaks between my 1.0 and my 2.0. The face is definitely what changed the most, and I wanted to put the most attention to it. I was struggling a lot at this point, so I ended up asking my friends Peachy and Yan for advice, sending them a bunch of screenshots of different faces and asking if things looked okay. And I would like update them as I was changing stuff. And it was also at this point that even though I liked how she looked, I felt like Lunaria's silhouette was starting to lose some of its readability. Since I changed her pose in the 2.0 to have lower arms, not as like T-posing, she had lost a bit of her bulk. When I asked my friends about it, they both answered the same thing, that giving Lunaria's cape some more fluff would help break up the design a bit more. And I hadn't planned to make any changes for my 2.0, but I tried it and thought, yeah, this does look a lot better. This is why it's good to get second opinions too, because I don't think I wouldn't have done that if it was just me. Rigging was similar to last time, but I'd learned a lot more since then. I'd rigged a bit in between Lunaria 1.0 and 2.0. I'd say a lot less time back and forth drawing new things and more time learning like more live 2D. I learned more physics, watched more rigging tutorials. I had a lot more tutorials saved. Every time I see a tutorial for live 2D, I bookmark it. So I absorbed as much new knowledge as I could and put as much effort as I could into Lunaria 2.0. I was in the live 2D mines every single day. I was so sick of looking at live 2D, but I gotta say, the results were worth it. Right? I think there's still things that could use some improvement, but then that's 3.0's problem. I didn't remake too many of my assets. I figured I can always update things over time. I did redo my starting soon and ending screens. Use the sketches for those if anyone is curious. My schedule I talked about, I redid it just before this. I think that's pretty much it, my logo. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Took a lot of work, a lot of learning to make myself look and move the way I do today. I think my biggest takeaway is, if you watch this and you're like, oh, I want to try and make my own VTuber character, or try to have a theme, pick something you like, multiple things you like, and then like work your design around that. A color palette. I prefer limited color palettes, maybe like 3, 4, 5 colors you really like. Try and like stick within those ones. Use references. References are important. I'm bad about using references, but every time I use one, my art is so much better for it. Mood boards are great, like to group with references. You can find things that work with your model, then I think that's good. And get second opinions. Sometimes if I'm staring at my own work too long, I start questioning everything. It's good to get like a outside opinion on it. It's a lot of work, but I think if I could make all this myself, I'm sure any of you could too. I have faith. Good luck if you try to make your own VTuber. If you were just here for the fun of it, thanks for watching. Take care.